Boom! Yeah, welcome. And in this short video, we're going to be talking about a subject that I love, and this is all about going to school. And you could be wondering, oh, what is TJ talking about? I'm talking about going to school, getting good grades, getting a job, and retire old. Well, it is not something that I never wanted to do. I had seen that people around me who are actually having money when they are very old, they don't know how to spend it. Or should I say, when they are spending it, they are so old that they can't really enjoy life. So the question that I've always had in my mind is, how best can I enjoy the fruits of my labor when I am young? So how do I retire young? But this was just a thought, because like many of us out there, we've been forced to go to school, or actually not even been forced to go to school. We just started going to school without even knowing what was the purpose of going to school. Hey, TJ, am I saying that school is bad? No, that's not what I'm saying. What am I saying? Well, the system, or all of us, we've been conditioned that we need to go to school to get good grades. And if we don't get good grades, then we are failures. But the question really is, how come when we are born, we start crawling, and we fail so much in the crawling that it hurts so badly sometimes in the fall that we do, but eventually we get it and we start walking. Eventually we get it and we start running. Eventually we get it and we start sprinting. But in the schooling system, when the same principle is taken, then we are labeled failures. How come? It's a question that I've asked. But anyway, I don't have answers for it. Today, I just want to talk about the things that kind of like relate to me that I had control of. And when I started now working for myself, I had control of. And what was that? Well, the basic was that go to school, get good grades, and get a job. I did that. I went to school, I got good grades, tick, tick, and I got a job. And I rose up the ladder, tick, tick. Was that satisfactory? It wasn't. Yes, it wasn't. I started seeing more and more people getting paid more than I was getting paid. I started seeing more people in the workplace who are 20, 30 years old in the workplace, dinosaurs. At one point, I was at a bank and I met this guy who was very old, and that day was his last day in the workplace. And I started wanting to think, why did you spend the rest of your 45 years or 50 years in one place, and he had worked in that bank for the rest of his life? Well, let's talk about what was it like back in the days, because we can't measure what was happening back in the days with what's happening today, because if you are wanting different results, you have to think differently. And this is what I want to talk about, to say, how do we think differently of what used to happen yesterday and what is happening now? So back in the days, we all know we were all living, or should I say, well, some of us, we never lived the really industrial age, like super industrial age, where skills was needed. So more and more people were needed to actually be employed and to get a particular skill. You've had people that are say they are craftsmen, they are this, a particular skill, right? And that's important. We need those people, because obviously we cannot perform, the world cannot work without those people. Then the second thing we want to look at is, we're looking at back then and now, is that you see information was limited to a number of people. And if you had those kind of information, obviously, you were kind of like the elite. Yes, right. But then we look at the job versus all the other professions that you've got. So like, for instance, if we look at back in the days, it was extremely, what's the word that I can use? Prestigious. It was prestigious being like a branch manager, like how many banks now? How many branch managers are there? Is it still prestigious these days? I don't know, right? Back in the days, it was prestigious being a doctor. How many doctors do we have today? Quite a lot of them, right? So I can speak of many professionals that we grew up being put on a pedestal to say, hey, these are the jobs that one should become, or these are the jobs that we should all aspire to be or should have as a profession. But then I looked at it the other way around and I said, hold on. If we look at all the people who are on the Forbes list, and by no means am I saying that all of us who should be on the Forbes list, then actually it doesn't mean anything, right? So only a few of us should be on the Forbes list or will be on the Forbes list. Well, I am hoping that one of these days I'll be on the Forbes list as well. But that's not the point here. The point that I'm trying to put across is that if you look at people who've been on the Forbes list, none of us, or should I say, the majority of them are not highly qualified. They are not highly educated. Most of them are actually graduate dropouts, and they've gone on to be entrepreneurs, and they have gone on to do amazing things in the world. And maybe start to think, is it then that important that my parents forced me to go to school, to get a job, get good grades, and retire old whilst I cannot spend my income? I started thinking. And I started looking at the lifestyle of those people and many other people who are very rich. And I said, what was the difference with the employee? And I started realizing it's all up here. You see, what happens with the entrepreneur or the guy who goes out there to make a difference in the world, create businesses, and those businesses grow up to be big businesses and all of those things, is that they just think different. They don't just think along the lines, go to school, get good grades, and get a job, because they want to create the jobs. That was so deep. When I started thinking about that, I started thinking like, okay, so where do I fit in? I went to school, I got good grades, and I got a job. But the reality is that everyone needs to work. That's the reality. Everyone has to work. But what are you working for? Are you working for assets that are giving you money? Or are you working for money itself? So you're trading your time with money. That's a bad position to be in. The rich actually work for money. Sorry, I take that back. The rich actually work for assets. They work for assets, and those assets generate income for them. That way they have free time to do the job that they love to do. What is the job that they love to do? Travel the world. Being a humanitarian. I can speak of so many things. But the point is that they are not hustling month to month to month looking for money. The money is pouring in. They are not hustling to say, at the month end, is money going to come? It's coming every day. What kind of systems are these? Well, eco-based systems is simple as franchise. We've all seen franchises. My favorite food, Nando's, KFC, not really. We have all these franchises across the world. Someone bought that system and it's continuously giving them money. Okay, it is far-fetched, TJ. Right. I am in real estate. It is a system that gives you money, right? But this system gives you money on the month, every month. But you can do Airbnb. It gives you money every day. Boom, right? So let's look at then and now, right? So being in a job, is it bad? I'm not saying that. For some of us, we are built to be in a job. That's okay, because that's how our mind works. But we can change that. You can change the mindset. I did, and I haven't been in a job for a minute. Okay? My family is still okay. Everything else still going strong. Right. But let's speak about the job, why you would need a job. Obviously, you need to fend for your family. That's a given. But everyone needs money to do stuff. So if you've got a job, which means that that's your primary income. But how do you navigate out of the job? Well, let's just assume that you want to be in a job for the rest of your life, which is great too. I salute you. But it is a deadly position just being in a job, and that's your only income. And that's the point that I want to make here. So going to school is not bad. Getting good grades is not bad, because I am extremely privileged and I am extremely grateful for the good grades that I've got, because I can have intellectual conversations with people. I can do contracts. I can do lots of things that the education has taught me, but it has been limited in my entrepreneur journey. It's a different education that you need. But let's just take an example that you are in the job. At the job whilst you are there, the question that we want to ask ourselves is, if it is deadly being in a job, because we are saying that you have one income, if that income goes down, then what? I'm a big advocate of saying, if you're in a job, you need to have a side hustle. What is that side hustle? I started off my real estate business as a side hustle. So I was employed at the bank and I would continuously buy properties. I'll continuously buy properties, okay? And they were giving me cash flow. So which then means that I've got two incomes. My employer's giving me money, I'm earning a salary, and on the other hand, I am also getting another salary from my cash flowing properties. Isn't that great? I think it is great. I am not dependent on my employer. Yeah? Let's just say I love my job. I love doing what I do. But how about you have a job, you got a side hustle, right? And that side hustle replaces your salary or even supersedes it 5 times. Would you then still stay in the job? If you love it, yes, but then it's not really a job. It is passion. You're doing what you love. You are not dependent on that employer because you've got some income coming else from somewhere else. So the question then, go to school, get good grades, get a job, retire old, does not apply with you. Why? Because you are not dependent on that employer for you to retire. You can retire anytime. You can retire anytime. That's it, right? So if I then come back to why then my parents actually forced me to do this, the question here is actually they didn't know better. What they knew at that time is that going to school, getting good grades and getting a job was the pinnacle, so they prepared me mentally for that. However, was that the best position? In that time, the answer is yes. In today's world, no. Do I want to be an entrepreneur? I'm throwing in another curveball here. An entrepreneur, someone very different, right? Entrepreneur is someone who solves problems and gets paid for it, okay? I'm an advocate of if you're becoming an entrepreneur and you're solving those problems, then you also need to be creating a system to solve that problems so that you don't have to be at the school, get good grades, being at a job for the rest of your life. Because some of us were entrepreneurs, but the moment we leave the office or we leave whatever system it is, then everything else stops. I'm an advocate to say that that system that you've built needs to be working outside of you, right? If you're not there, it needs to be functioning 100%. Hey, it is TJ, and in the comments below, you can drop me a comment, ask me anything, and if it is real estate that you're really hungry around, we've got a school called M5 Varsity, where we literally just teach other investors. I'm an active investor, and I am continuously doing properties every day. And if I'm not doing that, I write books. My latest book is called From Bad Debt to Property Mogul. In 2 years, I've revealed that if I can do it, anyone else can do it. And if I'm not doing that, I am here having a chat with you. And if this is what I'm not doing, I'm spending time with my kids. Boom. God bless. Cheers. Bye.